Hello students, I am Ms. Nazia Patwega and welcome you all once again to my YouTube channel in Express. Today I'll be discussing another important concept of accounting, that is inflation accounting. It is a very important concept because it comes from a subject called innovations in accounting, and it is one of the major unresolved controversial concept of accounting which every accountant should be aware of. So we will be discussing today inflation accounting. It is also known as changes in price level accounting. So inflation accounting and changes in price level accounting is the topic that we will be discussing. Before we come to the actual topic, before we understand what is inflation accounting, let us first understand what is inflation. Inflation means rise in the price level of commodities. Rise in the price level of commodities. Now we all know what is price, but we don't know what is meant by price level. Price level means the price or the cost of the commodity in an economy during an economic event. That is called as price level of a product. So it is different from price. Price level is different from price. Now inflation, another definition for inflation is too much money chasing too few goods. Too much money chasing too few goods. You can take the example of onions. The prices of onions because of shortage had gone up. The onions, 1 kg onions which were available for 10 rupees per kg were available for 100 rupees per kg. So in 10 rupees we are buying 1 kg. And imagine a scenario wherein 100 rupees we are buying 1 kg onions. So inflation has taken place in the second scenario wherein too much money is buying too few goods. So that is called as change in the price level of onion, and this was because of an economic event, that was the shortage in the supply of onions. So this is the meaning of inflation. Now inflation accounting means, or changes in price level accounting means, we are going to record the changes that are taking place in the economy and we are going to restate the financial statements. I know you all have not understood anything here. Let me explain to you all with some background. Now take the example of our financial accounting system. Now where in our financial accounting, what we do, we record the data on the basis of historical events. These are those events which has already occurred, we are recording them. So now take the example of a machine. Let us say that we purchased a machine, and we purchased a machine for rupees 1 lakh. So now this machine we will be showing for next 10 years. We will be showing it in our books of accounts as rupees 1 lakh only. Its value might have gone up, its value might have gone down. Now when the value is going up, now there can be several reasons. There can be several reasons, like a time value of money. Because of due to passage of time, the value of the machine might have gone up, or because of some economic events that are taking place in the economy, the value of machine might have gone up, might have gone down. There can be several reasons why the value of machine might have gone up or gone down, but we are recording what? We are recording historical value of the machine. We are recording 1 lakh rupees only till the next 10 years. So this is how we are showing wrong figures in financial accounting. If we want to show the true figures in financial accounting, then we should go for inflation accounting. Whatever price indices are given by the government, that we should record, and we should restate our financial statements. So now this is the major drawback of financial accounting, that we record the past data, and this past data we continue to record it as it is till several years, which is wrong. We are giving wrong information in our financial statements, whereas the purpose of financial statement is to give true and fair view of business, but they fail to give true and fair view of business because they are not recording the true values of items in the business. They are recording the old values of items in the business. Now you will understand this well when we will be discussing inflation accounting thoroughly. So what is inflation accounting? Inflation accounting, I'll just write here, price level changes accounting or inflation accounting. It is a technique. It is a technique It is a technique of accounting by which the financial statements are restated. The financial statements are restated to reflect the changes in general price level. To reflect the changes in general price level. General price level. So now it is inflationary accounting or inflation accounting is a technique of accounting wherein we are restating. We have already prepared the financial statements by following the principles of accounting, and now we are going to restate them in general by using general price indices, so that we can reflect the changes that are taking place. Now the changes that are taking place in the sense, what changes? These are the changes that are taking place in the economy. What kind of changes taking place in the economy? Either inflationary changes or the changes may be deflationary changes. Now inflationary changes means when the prices goes up in the economy because of certain events, and deflationary means when the prices go down because of certain reasons. Now let us say that there is global recession because of coronavirus. So because of recession we are moving towards a situation wherein the production will come down and other things will come down. So that is an economic event. Coronavirus has now become an economic event, and because of this event we may face deflationary situation, a recession. So because of this the prices of the goods and other items may go down, production may go down. So that kind of situation we find, and this happens only in case where there is something exclusive or something different, when the country is unable to take care of certain scams or certain scandals, economy is unable to stabilize them. That time deflationary events takes place, but usually the economy goes through inflationary events. That's why we will be discussing in this concept if inflationary changes. These occur regularly, these occur irregularly. That's why the focus is not on deflationary changes. The focus will be on inflationary changes taking place in the economy, and these changes we have to show in our financial statement so that we get to know the true and fair view of the business. So this is your inflation accounting and its meaning. According to American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, also they say that inflation accounting is recording the economic events in current cost. Recording the economic events means the impact of economic events should be considered, and the current cost should be recorded, and the current position should be true and fair of a particular organization. So this is the meaning and definition. I hope you all got the meaning of inflation accounting. So now we will be moving to why we should study. Now why we should understand what is the need to study this inflation accounting, or why we should study inflation accounting. There are several reasons to study inflation accounting. The first one is that the financial accounting or financial statements, whatever results they disclose are wrong, or financial statements fail to disclose proper traditional financial system fails to disclose proper value of the firm. So that's why we have to understand inflation accounting to know exactly how much profit, or to know exactly how much money is required to support the business. Fails to disclose, not inflation accounting, a traditional financial accounting system fails to disclose current worth of enterprise. So the current value of enterprise is not shown properly. I had told you all that machine whose machine with that we have purchased for 1 lakh rupees, or you can take the example of land that you have purchased for 1 lakh rupees today, till 10 years, next 10 years you will be showing its value in the books of accounts as 1 lakh rupees only. Its value might have gone up to 1 crore rupees, but you are showing in your books of accounts as 1 lakh rupees. So that's how we are not disclosing the current current worth of the enterprise. We are not disclosing the current worth of enterprise. Then the next one is, the second point is, contains non-comparable items. Contains non-comparable items. Non-comparable items, to understand this, again I'll give you an example. Now let us say I purchased a building. Okay, purchased a building in 2009. I purchased a building in 2009 for rupees 2 lakh. I purchased additional building, one more small part of building in 2019. So I purchased it for 50,000 rupees. How I'll be showing this in the financial statements, in the balance sheet? We'll be adding this both, and we'll be showing the value of building as 2,50,000. Is this right? Will the value of this building which I purchased in the year 2009 will remain same as 2 lakh even after 10 years? No. So we are showing those items together which are non-comparable. You cannot compare, you cannot bring them together, because its value might have gone up or might have gone down. Okay, and we are still recording it equally along with the other building. So this is how it contains non-comparable items. And then it creates problems at times of replacement. Yes, this is very important point. It creates a problem at the time of replacement. At the time of replacement. Now, time of replacement of what? Replacement of assets we do in business. So at the time of replacing the assets, there is a problem because we don't go for inflation accounting. Now let us say we purchased a machine of rupees 1 lakh, and this machine has working life of 10 years. So depreciation that we charge, depreciation automatically becomes rupees 10,000 each year. So like this, 10,000 each year up to 10 years. So up to 10 years, 10,000 each if you save, it will become 1 lakh rupees. And after 10 years, you have to replace this machine. But will the value of that machine remains 1 lakh rupees even after 10 years? No, there can be inflation, there can be deflation. The value of machine may become 1,50,000. That time what you will do? Extra 50,000 has to be arranged. Company will be suffering from insufficient funds. Company has to arrange 50,000 somehow. That's why it is very important to consider the inflationary factor and record the items. When you consider the inflationary factor and you record the items, this and then you will get the value, you will get your depreciation value as 1,50,000, and you will be at least able to cover up your cost of new machine. So like this, it creates a problem at the time of replacement. Then next point is, it mixes holding and operating gains. Now what is holding and operating gains? We will see. It mixes holding and operating gains. So we usually gain by holding the asset, and we usually gain by making the profits by operating the business. So here we are going to mix everything here. Now I'll show you all how with the help of an example. So just concentrate. Let us say we purchased, this is an example to understand it. We purchased 100 units for rupees 6 each. Okay, and we sold from this 50 units at rupees 6 again. So how much remaining? Yes, 50 units remaining. Okay, 50 units. What was the value of these units? Rupees 6 again. Then we purchased further some more units. We purchased again 100 units for rupees 8 now. We purchased them for rupees 8. So now we have total how many units? 150 units we have. Now this 150 units we are sold for rupees 10 each. They are sold for rupees 10 each. Now what profit we are making? See, 50 rupees, 50 units which were supposed to be sold at 6 rupees, we are selling for 10 rupees. So 4 rupees extra we are earning on this. So this will give us rupees 200. Then on 150, on remaining 100 units we are earning extra 2 rupees. 10 minus 8. So 100 units into rupees 2. So we are making a profit of how much? 400 rupees profit we are making because we are holding the assets. Okay, because we are holding the assets, we are making a profit of 400 rupees. But this profit includes holding and operating profit. Now how it includes holding and operating profit, I show you all here. Now this 50 units, extra 2 rupees. We were supposed to earn only 2 rupees on that. Okay, we were supposed to earn 2 rupees profit. So 2 rupees profit would have made it 100. And on 100 rupees also we were supposed to make a profit of 2 rupees. So 200. So total operating profit is 300. Our operating profit is 300 for selling it on extra 2 rupees. Okay, but this 2 rupees got increased. Here 6 rupees became 10 rupees. How it became 10 rupees? Because this 6 rupees became 8 rupees. Okay, the value of units became from 6 rupees to 8 rupees. The reason is we are holding it. It was with us from this time to this time. That's why the automatically the value of this 50 units became from came up from 6 rupees to 8 rupees, and that's how, because we were holding it for the entire period, the value went up. So extra 2 rupees, this extra 2 rupees is the holding profit, and this 2 rupees whatever we are earning on 50 units is our operating profit. 2 rupees is our operating profit, and extra 2 rupees, this 400 minus 300, whatever 100 rupees is remaining, that is 50 units into rupees 2. This is between these two. For holding 50 units till this long time, the value of 50 units went up from 6 rupees to 8 rupees, and that is the profit of holding. So this is our holding profit. 100 rupees is holding profit. Because we were holding it, we made this profit, and 300 rupees is operating profit. And that's how we are mixing holding profit and operating profit in our traditional accounting, which is wrong, and this kind of profits are separated by inflation accounting. So I hope you all understood the problems, the reasons why we should study inflation accounting. All these things will be eliminated if we incorporate inflation accounting in our traditional financial accounting system. So now we will move ahead. I will be discussing the methods of recording changes in price level, or methods of inflation accounting, recording inflation accounting. So here methods, there are two popular methods, students. There are two popular methods. One is CPP. CPP, current purchasing power method. Current purchasing power method. Then this is also known as GPP, because we will be using general price indices over here. So it is known as even general purchasing power method. Then the second method is CCA, current cost accounting method. Current cost accounting method. And the last one is one more, that is known as hybrid method. Now this hybrid method is a combination of CCA and CPP. This is a combination of CPP and CCA. So these are the three methods that we have to discuss, and I'll be first covering the problems on CPP method, and then I'll be covering the problems on CCA method. Hybrid method, 5 marks problems are there, those I'll be discussing later on. So first I'll be discussing CPP concept, then I'll be discussing CCA concept, and then I'll be discussing hybrid method. So please stay tuned with me in coming videos wherein I'll be discussing these things in depth. Now what is CPP method? First we will try to understand what is CPP method. CPP method is also known as general purchasing power method, students. So here under this method we will be using general price index. We will be using general price index or general price indices for restating the values of financial statements. So now when we are using general price index, that's why it is given name as general purchasing power method. Now who gives this price indices? These price indices are approved general price indices or retail price indices, which are given by the government of India after looking at the economic events. They fix these price indices, and these price indices are to be considered for calculating or restating the values of financial statements. Now these general price indices, to give you all help you all to understand them well, there will be 2 years. One will be base year. I'll write it here. Base year and current year. 100, 150 price index. This, let us say this was in the year 2010, this in 2020. Now let us take in 2010 the price index was of a chocolate. Okay, let us take an example of a chocolate. So in 2010 the chocolate that you were purchasing for 100 rupees, in 2020 you will be purchasing it for 150 rupees because of inflationary event. That means 100 rupees chocolate is now equal to 150 rupees, or 100 rupees is now equal to 150 rupees. So if you take 150 rupees today, and if you are going back in 2010, then you have to not pay 150, you have to pay 100 rupees for the same chocolate. Or if you are taking 100 rupees and coming to 2020, you have to pay 150 rupees to buy that chocolate. In 100 rupees you cannot buy that chocolate because of the passage of time. Inflationary events has taken place, certain economic events have taken place, because of which the value has now gone up of the chocolate, not of the price, not of the currency. So this is how we will be recording the item. This is how we have to restate the items and show in the financial statements. So here I will be again using one example. Let us say we purchased a machine. We purchased a machine in 2010 for rupees machine of rupees 1 lakh, a machine of rupees 30,000. In the year 2010, we purchased a machine of rupees 30,000. We want to know what will be its value in 2020, or what is its current value. So for that, what I will be doing is 30,000 rupees will be taking. I want to know its current value. So 150 is the general price index. This is how the inflation has gone up, and then 100 rupees is its base year value. Base in the year when I had purchased it, that year its value was 100 rupees. So now we will be so 15 into 3, 45,000. So it is almost 45,000 now. After 10 years, the value of machine has become 45,000. Now if we are going to keep this machine for next 10 years, then we have to charge depreciation not on 30,000, we have to charge depreciation on 45,000. That's how at the end of 10 years we will get the value of the machine, exact value of the machine, and we will be able to replace it properly. If not completely, at least proportionately we are in the position to cover up the value of the machine. So this is it. This is the concept of CPP. I will be discussing how financial statements are prepared in CPP. In the next video, I'll be discussing the preparation of financial statements and some sums on cost of goods sold, and under that LIFO, FIFO method and all that is there. So these all things I'll be discussing in my next video. Please keep watching my videos. Please like, share and subscribe, and stay home, stay safe, take care of your family and keep learning. Thank you everyone.